Generation 3 introduced us to abilities, which have been one of the coolest features in Pokemon. In Gen 3, Pokemon could have up to 2 abilities, but then Gen 5 came around and added hidden abilities for a total of up to 3 possible abilities. Despite this though, some Pokemon still only have 2 abilities, so in this video, I'm going to be giving a third ability to some of these Pokemon that still only have 2. I will be excluding any Pokemon that only have 1 ability, as well as Pokemon with 2 abilities that are part of a group that only has 2 abilities, which I found pretty much entirely consists of legendaries, starters, and evolutions. Anything else though is fair game. The ability must also make sense thematically on the Pokemon due to its lore or anatomy, with the goal being to diversify their options and possibly make them more viable. First, we have Electivire. Electivire currently has the primary ability Motor Drive and the hidden ability Vital Spirit. These are both solid, but nothing amazing that gives Electivire any kind of niche in recent generations, especially with its lackluster base stat distribution and the fact that it's a physical attacking electric type. I propose its third ability should be Electric Surge, which would help give it a more unique role on a team. Currently, the only electric terrain setters are Tapu Koko, Pincurchin, and Miraidon. Tapu Koko isn't in Gen 9 though, and Miraidon is a restricted legendary, so it is very limited in its legality. This leaves Pincurchin as pretty much the only option to set electric terrain in Gen 9, which has really screwed over the future Paradox Pokemon, since they haven't really had the chance to automatically activate their abilities outside of being used on a Miraidon team. I think Electivire would be perfect for this, since it not only makes sense thematically, with it being able to learn electric terrain and its dex entries talking about how it has high electrical energy output, but it also learns great supporting moves like Follow Me, Taunt, Thunder Wave, both Screens, Feint, and Screech, and its offense is no slouch either, with things like Knock Off, Wild Charge, the Elemental Punches, Trailblaze, Earthquake, and Low Kick. Next, we have Alcremie. Alcremie currently has the primary ability Sweet Veil and the hidden ability Aroma Veil. These are 2 solid abilities, but nothing that really stands out. Like the last entry, I'd propose Misty Surge for Alcremie's third ability. Misty Terrain is probably the worst out of the 4 terrains, partly because of the lack of setters. Tapu Fini isn't in the game, and Galarian Wheezing is probably better off using Neutralizing Gas. Misty Terrain also offers no offensive boosts outside of the one interaction with Misty Explosion, with the Dragon move having effect being a complete non-factor to the Fairy-type setters since they're already immune to Dragon. Now I'm not going to change any of Misty Terrain's properties since that's not the point of this video, but I do think that increasing the distribution of Misty Surge should help the terrain at least somewhat. On Alcremie, it would be a pretty decent tool to help support its ally and doubles, with the terrain preventing status conditions, and Alcremie being able to boost its ally with Decorate and Helping Hand. It can do some decent disrupting with Charm, Fake Tears, Encore, Pain Split, and Imprison, but honestly, Alcremie is going to need a lot more than just a new ability if it wants to thrive in singles. I could see an argument for Misty Surge making sense on really any fairy type that learns Misty Terrain, and the other options with 2 abilities that I was considering were Aromatisse, Klefki, Carbink, and Florges. I almost went with Florges, but I feel like with its connection to flowers and gardens, grassy terrain would make more sense on it. Next, we have Armarouge. Armarouge currently has the primary ability Flash Fire and the hidden ability Weak Armor. Flash Fire is great on slow Trick Room sets, with the fire immunity also combining well with Terra Grass, and Weak Armor is great on fast weakness policy sets with Endure to ensure that you survive a hit. For its third ability, I'd suggest Mega Launcher, an ability that increases the power of pulse moves, not because its existing 2 abilities are bad, but because Mega Launcher just makes so much sense on Armarouge. Its arms literally fold into a cannon, with its Violet Dex entries talking about it shooting blazing fireballs. Its signature move Armor Cannon isn't a pulse move, but it does learn 3 out of the 7 pulse moves in the game: Dark Pulse, Dragon Pulse, and Aura Sphere. Now as much as I want to give sharpness to Ceruledge, Armarouge's split evolution counterpart that has the same primary and hidden ability, Ceruledge's signature move Bitter Blade is a slicing move, which would make it a 135 base power, 100% accurate, stab draining move, which is a bit too much. If Bitter Blade were more like 75 base power, then I would totally be down to give Ceruledge sharpness, since it literally has blades for arms and learns the slicing moves Night Slash, Solar Blade, Psycho Cut, and X Scissor. They did give Gallade stab sharpness boosted Sacred Sword though, so maybe Ceruledge with stab sharpness boosted Bitterblade would be fine. Next, we have Staraptor. Staraptor currently has the primary ability Intimidate and the hidden ability Reckless. These are both great options, with Intimidate just being one of the most useful abilities in the game, and Reckless fitting pretty well on Staraptor, with it getting Stab, Brave Bird, and Double Edge that gets boosted by Reckless. I see a really interesting opportunity for a third ability though, and that's Scrappy. Scrappy makes the user unaffected by the attack drop from Intimidate, and allows the user's normal and fighting moves to hit ghost types for neutral. With Staraptor being a normal type that also learns some fighting moves, this would be a great option on it. I'm mainly interested in the combination of Scrappy Final Gambit though, with Staraptor having a very respectable 85 HP and 100 speed to make use of it. Galarian, Farfetch'd, and Sirfetch'd are the only Pokemon in the game with access to this combo, but they have significantly lower HP and speed, so Staraptor would be a much better user. Being able to click Final Gambit into your opponent without them being able to switch into a ghost type for an immunity would give Staraptor a third great use. My main justification for Staraptor getting this ability is that 4 out of the 10 evolutionary lines that get this ability are also birds, those being Sirfetch'd as I mentioned, Swellow, Hisuian Decidueye, and Flamigo. Staraptor's dex entries also states that it never stops attacking even if injured, and that it has a savage nature, which sounds pretty scrappy to me, or spunky if you're going with the Japanese version. Next, we have Palossand. Palossand currently has the primary ability Water Compaction and the hidden ability Sand Veil. Well-Baked Body is what Water Compaction should have been, which is a fire immune ability that also grants a +2 defense boost when hit with a fire move. Water Compaction just gives a +2 defense boost when hit with a water move, no water immunity granted whatsoever. Sand Veil is banned in most singles formats, and in doubles formats where it is allowed, you'd probably rather use Garchomp. So what I propose for Palossand's third ability is actually what I suggested in a different video, Sand Spit. Sand Spit sets up Sandstorm when the user is hit with an attack. This would combine perfectly well with Palossand's signature move Shore Up that heals 2/3 max HP during a sandstorm. With Sandstorm's chip damage, Sand Tomb for residual damage, and Shore Up for healing back HP, Palossand would be a menace of a Stallmon, and I've actually tried it on almost any ability on my second channel. Sand Spit would make perfect sense on Palossand, because have you ever tried to kick a sandcastle? Sand flies everywhere. Next, we have Passimian. Passimian currently has the primary ability Receiver and the hidden ability Defiant. Receiver is a really gimmicky doubles ability that has seen some use on Alolan Muck, which has the same ability but just named differently. Defiant is pretty good, especially in doubles with Intimidate being so common, but I have a different ability in mind for doubles, Friend Guard. Passimian is known as the Teamwork Pokemon, with its dex entries explaining how groups of Passimian are assigned roles and survive through cooperation, and how their mutual bond is remarkable. They will never let down a teammate, so I feel like extending that teamwork to protecting your ally in a double battle could make sense. Friend Guard is a very limited ability, with only 2 fully evolved Pokemon having access to it. So on Passimian, a fully evolved Pokemon with a 490 base stat total, the highest of any user, it would be quite good. Passimian gets some pretty good supporting moves like Coaching, Feint, Quick Guard, and Taunt, with Knockoff being great for disrupting, U-Turn for pivoting, Upper Hand to counter opposing fakeouts, and Beat Up to activate strategies like Rage Fist Annihilate. Annihilate, by the way, pretty much outclasses Passimian in every way as a fighting type Defiant user, so Friend Guard should help give Passimian some more distinct use. Next, we have Barraskewda. Barraskewda currently has the primary ability Swift Swim and the hidden ability Propeller Tail. Swift Swim doubles its speed in rain, but it already has really high speed. Propeller Tail is completely useless in singles, with it allowing Barraskewda to ignore redirection in doubles, something that is definitely useful, but not something that you generally want to spend your entire ability slot on. What I suggest for its third ability is Strong Jaw. Strong Jaw increases the power of biting moves by 50%. Barraskewda learns 4 biting moves, Bite, Crunch, Ice Fang, and Psychic Fangs, all of which would be pretty decent coverage options that it sometimes uses anyway, but would be even more incentivized to use if it got Strong Jaw. This makes perfect sense on Barraskewda, as it's based on a Barracuda, a fish with sharp teeth and strong bites. Its sword dex entry also states that it has a jaw that's as sharp as a spear and as strong as steel. And no, I will not be giving it Vicious Rend, as fun as that might be. Next, we have Altaria. Altaria currently has the primary ability Natural Cure and the hidden ability Cloud 9. Natural Cure is decent, with it seeing use on Blissey and Chansey, but Cloud 9 is really situational, with it not having any effect if there's no weather on the field. This is a really obvious one, but I'm gonna go with Fluffy for its third ability. Just look at those wings and tell me they don't look fluffy. Even the Pokédex describes them as such. Fluffy halves the damage taken from contact moves at the cost of fire-type moves dealing double damage. Altaria's main issue is that it just doesn't have great stats and is almost entirely outclassed by Dragonite and Salamence. Fluffy would at least give it some more use as a defensive wall that can clear hazards with Defog, reset stat changes with Haze, and spread status with Will-O-Wisp. It also gets Cotton Guard, and when you combine that with Fluffy, it can eat up any contact move you throw at it. In fact, after one use of Cotton Guard with the right investment, it can live a max attack Adamant Choice Band Weavile Triple Axle, a move that it's 4 times weak to. The doubled fire damage will also be offset by Altaria's Dragon typing, making Fluffy pretty decent on Altaria. Lastly, here's a bonus round of abilities that I didn't include in the main list for one reason or another. Rocky Payload on Spiritomb could be cool since it's a bunch of souls bound to a stone, so giving it Stab on rock could make sense, kinda like how Delmice is the seaweed that merges with an anchor and it has Steelworker for Stab on steel. Rocky Payload is more like Rock Transport in Japanese though, which fits Bombardier because it transports rocks with its stomach pouch thingy. Spiritomb also learns one rock move, so this ability wouldn't be super useful. Tough Claws on Weavile would make perfect sense, with its dex entries mentioning its sharp claws, but Weavile is a Pokemon that is good in spite of its ability, not because of it. If you give it an actual beneficial ability, it would be way too strong. This and Technician were what caused its ban in almost any ability. Mega Launcher on Magmortar, for the same reason as Armarouge, it has cannons for arms. Magmortar unfortunately doesn't learn a single pulse move, so this ability would be completely useless on it. Shell Armor on Fortress because it's described to have a steel hard shell. I don't know if this would be any good though, since Shell Armor is pretty useless on most of its current users, but I guess it could make for a decent counter to Urshifu. An Analytic on Metagross, since its dex entries mention how it analyzes its opponents with more accuracy than a supercomputer. There's probably a better and more fitting ability though, so I don't feel super strongly about this one. And those are some third abilities that I would give to Pokemon that only have 2. Let me know if you disagree with any of my reasonings, or feel that I missed any. Here are all the other Pokemon I found to only have 2 abilities, excluding the groups I mentioned in the intro that I was considering but couldn't really come up with a good idea for. Anyway, if you want to support me and my channel, just leave a nice comment since I do read all comments. You can also become a member for 99 cents USD to get a badge next to your name and early video access like all of these lovely people. If you want bonus content, check out my second channel, Extra Bell, where I post videos I've scrapped for the main channel, as well as more casual, unscripted videos. Likes are also one of the ways that YouTube determines if a video should be passed around to more people, so if you feel that this video deserves to be, I would appreciate it. Thanks for watching.